Hello friends, welcome back to the channel. My name is Nate and it's time to pick out my June TBR for 2025 using my TBR board game. I am very excited for this. My favourite video to film each month. I had so much fun doing it. So yeah, but before we jump in, we need to look back into May's TBR to see how I did and see if I will have to take a punishment. I mean, it's not the end of May, but I can already tell you that I absolutely am going to have to take a punishment because I have not finished the TBR. And it was a really manageable one as well. This was the stack of books that I got. I won't basically be reading Six of Crows or Crooked Kingdom. I just have not gonna have enough time. I'm going to try and finish these 3 manga in the next 4 days I've got. I'm going to try and finish Divine Rivals, and I'm in the middle of Some Desperate Glory, so I'm at least going to continue on with it, and then if I don't finish it in May, it'll be early June. I just didn't get a lot of these done. I think I have an issue with I leave my books sometimes too long, and then suddenly I've got I'm 2/3 of the way through the month. I've got 2 book club books to read that are not any of these, and yeah, time runs out. So in June, I'm going to really try and actually hit some of my TBR books first before anything else for the month. But yeah, this was the stack for May. And it was a massive fail, which is a shame because there's really not that much there and I was looking forward to all the books. Now in terms of prompts, because I do want to be making sure that I'm reading all of my prompts, if I don't read them, they're going to get added back in. So I only picked 3 prompts last month. I'm going to leave Random Shelf out because I do think I'm going to finish Some Desperate Glory, but these 2 I'm going to add back into the decks, but they're going to go at the bottom of the pile so that I don't pull them out in back-to-back months, basically. And in terms of June, I have 2 book club books that I know I will be reading, potentially a 3rd. So if I can get those 2 on, I will try to the TBR game. And I think I may participate in the amazing readathon created by 4 Paws and a Book. I have yet to really do anything about that, pick a team, look at the prompts, or join the Discord. So it's still up in the air. I have a few days to do my research for that. So I'm not sure what I'm even going to read for that in terms of prompts because I've done no preparation, which could screw me over in terms of the June's TBR. I'll worry about that later in June. So yeah, without further ado, let's jump into June's TBR. I'm going to be playing today with this little Pluto Lego figure. I don't know if he's a proper Lego. I think he might be fake Lego, but yeah, he's going to be my little game piece today. I'm going to stick with using a 20-sided die since I actually really liked the amount of books I got, even if I didn't finish them all. Let's jump into the game for June using this nice big D20 today. And our first roll is 15. Okay, it launches me to the BB space, which I also forgot to put these little things down, so I'm just going to put them down randomly. But BB was always going to stay BB because it stands now for Broken Binding. A nice big first roll. I did end up having to put those little spaces down just to basically, those are the now book box spaces. BB used to stand for Borrow Box, which is my libraries app. It now stands for Broken Binding. So I'm going to be putting on The Mask of Mirrors. This is by M.A. Carrick. This is now one of the completed series I have as part of my Broken Binding subscription. And so I actually really want to start reading them. So this is the one I think I'm going to start with. This is I think, Venetian inspired. The first book in the Rook and Rose trilogy. It is a rich and dazzling fantasy adventure in which a con artist, a vigilante, and a crime lord must unite to save their city. And I think it's set in a kind of Venice inspired, which I'm only going on based on the masks. When I went to Venice, there were masks quite a lot everywhere. And also Venice is a gorgeous city. So I would love for this to be set in there. That would be fantastic. But yeah, I've heard quite good things about it. This Broken Binding edition is stunning. It's got some lovely playing card-esque elements and yeah, gorgeous inside art. It is a chunky book. It's just over 600 pages, but I am really looking forward to it and I'm going to have quite a bit of spare time in June. I've got 2 weeks off work, so this should be an A-okay one to start with. And yeah, really wanting to actually get on and read some of my Broken Binding books. So that is the first book for June's TBR. On to roll number 2. A 10, okay. That takes me to IC, which stands for Illumicrate. Now I need to go and have a look at my books and figure out what are Illumicrate. Because it's been a while and I cannot remember which ones are Illumicrate and which ones are Fairy Loot. Give me a second. Okay, so I went for something that isn't quite Illumicrate, but it's one of their imprints, and it is The Eyes Are the Best Part. This is from the Evernight subscription, which I was getting for a couple of months last year. I have since cancelled because I wasn't reading them. And yeah, if I like them, I would really like to resubscribe to them and see, but I think this is a gorgeous edition. A brilliant, inventive, subversive novel about a young woman unraveling. Monica Kim's The Eyes Are the Best Part is a story of a family falling apart and trying to find their way back to each other, making a bold new voice in horror that will leave the readers mesmerized and craving more. This has also got a absolutely lovely printed dust jacket, and I think I've heard good things about it, so I'm looking forward to reading it. It's a nice short one as well, just under 300 pages, so we'll nicely balance out The Mask of Mirrors. So this is the book I'm going to go for this prompt, and yeah, I'm looking forward to it. On to the next roll. Roll number 3 is a 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, a green prompt. So our first prompt, which is a middle grade. So for middle grade, I'm going to be carrying on with a series, and that is going to be Skandar and the Chaos Trials. I just hit myself on the face with it. This is the 3rd book in the Skandar series, and the 5th book comes out in August, I think. and I really, really want to be caught up so that I can buy the 5th book and read it basically straight away. This is a magical series following a young boy that is sent to an island off of England where unicorns exist and people train to become unicorn riders. If they do not, the unicorns grow up wild and savage basically and can become quite a hindrance and like kill people and eat people. So he goes to this and it's like very much like a kind of elemental magic training academy vibe. He is obviously a bit different, has this different power. And yeah, I'm really looking forward to reading this, carrying on with this series, had a really good time with it, and seeing how the final wraps up eventually. Obviously, I don't know what's going to happen in these next 2 books, but how the final wraps up in, I think it's Augusty time. So yeah, this is Scanner. This is the Waterstones exclusive. It's got these nice sprayed edges, and they've just released as well the image recently for the 5th one, and it's really, really beautiful as well. It's purple. I really enjoy the series. I really like the first 2. Reread the first 2 at the beginning of this year. Really enjoyed my time with it. So I'm sure I'm going to love this. So yeah, great one to put on as well. That's the 3rd book. Let's jump into our 4th row. For row number 4, a 2. 1, 2. So we have a green and a blue prompt, a European author and a random letter author. Okay, I'm gonna get up a letter generator, and for European, I do specifically mean non-UK European, just because that then gives me a bit more diversity. So it's come up with D. Can I do this in a way where I don't have to edit it in? Yeah. So we are gonna go for J, or European author that starts with J. So since my prompt did not specify whether it had to be a first or a last name, I've gone for first name, and I'm going to use Jules Verne. He is a French author and poet, and I'm going to read Around the World in 80 Days, which I started a couple of months ago. I think I put it on a TBR. I cannot remember for the life of me. It might have been a TBR that I never ended up uploading, but yeah, I'm going to restart it from the beginning and give it a read and see what I think. This, I know, is an adventure story about, actually, have I finished this? Yeah, okay, I've read this. Sorry, as I was always holding it up, I remembered the ending of the story. I've read this, so don't worry, let me rethink. So I actually really struggled with finding this. However, I'm going to read at least some of, I'm not going to commit to reading all of it, but I'm going to read some of the stories, I think, in this companion novel. It's like a complete fairy tales novel from the Brothers Grimm, because one of them is called Jacob. They are Jacob and Willem, or Wilhelm, I think their names are. Actually, where were they from? Yeah, German, I think they're German. There was no Germany at the time. Rather, the lands that comprise that is now Germany and Austria. Basically, they were born in the Holy Roman Empire, which was in Europe. It's now what is considered mostly Germany and Austria, I think. I'm gonna read some of these books. This basically has, how many stories in it? It has 201 fairy tales and then like 10 children's legends. It's like 652 pages. So there's a lot of short stories in this. So I'm gonna start making my way through it, and I'm just gonna consider it read and completed for like in terms of the game if I read at least some of them. This is a really nice like gold sprayed edition that I got from my sister. I think it's gorgeous, and I'm interested in reading how some of the stories in it. Obviously know a lot of the stories as they are told now, but not the original Grimm's fairy tale versions of them. What a rogue one for me to put on this year. I didn't really expect to read this, not necessarily ever. Like eventually I probably would have put it on and read like a couple, but yeah, it's gonna be quite nice. I'm probably just gonna start from the beginning and like make my way through consecutively, not pick out ones to read. But yeah, I think that'll be quite a nice one to read to add onto the list for June. Let's go on to the next roll. Roll number 5 is a 2. Okay, black is the manga jar. So let's pick out a volume, a series of manga. We'll go for this one, which says FYGK. And I'm going to roll a d6 to see how many volumes to read of this series. Okay, I just need to read one. So FGYK is Fushigi Yugi Genbu Kaiden. This is a prequel sequel series, so it's released after but set before the original Fushigi Yugi series. And these are series of basically, they are shoujo romance adventure series that basically follows young girls in our world that fall into these books, into these magical worlds where they are basically priestesses to a god. And they are usually called up at about a time when there is a war going on in this like book world, and they need to help in some way by gathering these 7 magical warriors and then granting a wish by using this god's power. Really, really interesting. Fushigi Yugi, the original series, was one of the very first like manga anime series I really got into. This was a sequel series, but it's set before the original series, and so you know roughly the ending if you have read the original series. This is still such a really good series and worth a read. It is a reread, and I've just been wanting to reread the series. So yeah, I might read more than just the 1 volume, but I only have to read the 1 volume for the month. This is like what the art style looks like. So it's very like a kind of romancy based one. It is set for older teens, but it's just a very fun adventure story as well. If you like adventure stuff, but that have like also like quite a strong romantic plot line, I would say this would be a really good series to read. You don't necessarily have to read the original series first because this is a prequel series, but if you were interested in the series, this is like done afterwards, and so the artist, which is Watase Yu, her art style has improved, or like I guess just modernized. The original Fushigi Yugi has a very like 90s shoujo manga art style, whereas this one has, you can still tell it's by the same artist, I think, but it is more modernized as the artist has developed, obviously, through years of drawing the same characters and drawing manga and stuff. So yeah, really like this series. I'm really happy to do a reread of it. So roll number 6. A 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. A blue prompt, which is a book club or a read-along. Perfect. So for book club or read along, like I mentioned, I have 2 book clubs. One of them though is going to be an audiobook, so I'm not going to put that on. So the one I will be physically reading is Yellowface by R.F. Kuang. I have the ebook for this. This is my family book club pick. It is my twin sister's pick, and I know a lot about this book. I've never read anything though from R.F. Kuang. I actually think she goes by Rebecca F. Kuang for this book. This is about I don't know if she's a published author, she's a wannabe author, but her friend slash rival who has a lot more prestige than her dies. She steals her manuscript and basically prints it under a kind of like racially ambiguous name, so that she is kind of like passing off this like authentic Chinese story as her own when she is white. That is what I believe it is. I think it has quite a unlikable main character, main narrative, potentially also a bit of an unreliable main narrative. Yeah, I think this will be an interesting one to read from R.F. Kuang as a first book, because like I feel like I'd probably like her fantasy stuff more than this, but I am open to reading, like, I don't know if it's considered literary fiction or more like mystery thrillery. I'm not sure where it falls, but yeah, I mean, I've got the ebook for it, so I'm going to read it for my book club anyway. So the fact that I get it on was lovely. And yeah, this will be I think it's quite a short book as well, so I think it will be quite an interesting, easy read between some of this. I was going to say mostly fantasy, but there's actually quite a variety of different genres on my list. On to potentially our last roll now. We're like 3 away from the end. Roll number 7. Yeah, 17. So that takes us to the end. The green prompt is a horror or thriller. The blue prompt is with a pretty cover. The manga for the end spot is going to be this one, which is Bleach. And then Bleach I will read, do a roll. 4. Okay, so to start with the manga, I got Bleach. Now, I again am rereading most of Bleach because I've never actually ended up finishing it. It is a 70, I want to say 4-volume series. I think I got to about 59-ish, and there was a time skip, and I was reading at the time up to date, and it was a bit boring at the beginning of the time skip, where it was kind of like restarting the journey, and I ended up just not picking it back up again. So I'm going to start with the first 4 volumes of Bleach. This is one I actually really, really like, and when I first read it and got into it, it is kind of the one that I based my art style around. So Bleach is about a young guy, Ichigo. He has basically always been able to see spirits, but that changes when he runs into this character. Where is she? He basically runs into this character, Rukia, and he learns she is a soul reaper. So she reaps these souls of these monsters called hollows, and she ends up introducing them to this whole different world. He ends up becoming a soul reaper, and yeah, it's a action adventure series aimed at like teenagers. It was very, very popular in like the early 2000s. I don't know when it exactly finished. It's a series that I really, really like and have really, really enjoyed reading. I watched a lot of the anime as well, and yeah, I just think it's really good. So I'm looking forward to rereading the whole of the series and then actually finishing off the end of it, because I never finished it in the end. But I do own the whole series as well, so that's like 74 volumes that are sitting that I can read if I want to. It will take me a while to reread them, but I am looking forward to it. So yeah, that's the first 4 volumes of this series I will hopefully be reading in this month. And then I think pretty cover and thriller are 2 prompts that just do not work very well together. I mean, there might be some horrors out there that have really pretty covers, but I don't own any, and I'm really trying to read off my physical TBR. So I think I'm going to split the prompts. And so for the thriller horror pick, I'm going to pick a Frida McFadden book. This is The Inmate. It's one that I got from the works for like a £3 to £6 deal. A new nurse practitioner at a maximum security prison, and I don't know what happens. I'm not going to read anything else. I don't want to know. Basically, I want to know nothing about this book going into it. Frida McFadden, I've read 3 books by her, and I've enjoyed them fair enough. I think they're like fun, easy reads. Not necessarily things I think about much afterwards, but I enjoy my time when I'm reading them. So I'm going to put that book on. And then for a book with a pretty cover, I really want to keep getting to my special editions, and I want to read sequels as well. So I'm going to put on Ruthless Vows. This is obviously going off a thing that I am going to finish Divine Rivals in May, which I do think I am. I've got about 100 pages. I did end up rereading it, and I've got about 100 pages left to finish it. So then I will finish off this duology. And yeah, this is the gorgeous Fairy Loot edition as well, which I have owned like for over a year now, so need to get to it. I do know that a lot of people didn't like the sequel as much. I think maybe because it concentrates more on the war than the romance, but I think that's something that I'm going to particularly enjoy more, because although I don't dislike the romance between our main characters. Like, I am very interested in the war and that element of it, and I don't have an issue with like the romance taking a bit of a back burner to that. So that is 6 books for the month and like 5 volumes of manga that I have to read. So not actually a bad stack. So let me hold them up. It's a heavy stack though because they're mostly hardcovers. So the book that I don't have on me is Yellowface by R.F. Kuang. Then I have The Mask of Mirrors by M.A. Carrick. This was for the Broken Binding spot. The Eyes Are the Best Part. This was for the Illumicrate spot. Gander and the Chaos Trials. This was for a middle grade. The Complete Grimm's Fairy Tales. This was for European author and author that starts with the letter J for Jacob Grimm. Ruthless Vows for Pretty Cover. The Inmate for Thriller. Fushigi Genbu Kaiden, and Bleach for my manga picks. So not a bad stack actually, and like I said, I've got quite a bit of time in June, so I am hopeful that I can get these done. Actually, because I did not complete last month's TBR, I had to take a punishment, which I have not done. The punishment is basically that it's not really a punishment, it's just a punishment for me. I'm just gonna pick a random book from my TBR jar and add it to the must read for the month. So like, I can't win the game unless I also read this one. I was supposed to do it at the beginning. I did not. So I'm going to do it now. And then I will talk about a couple of books that I might add on. Well, actually, I think there's just one book that I'm going to add on. But let me pull this book first. So yeah, I'm just going to pick a random one. This is my TBR jar that has most of the books I own in it. It doesn't have all the sequels, but it has most of the books. So the extra book that I will be reading in June is Children of Time. Actually, that's quite a nasty one to put on because I think that's a big sci-fi book. Okay, the TBR jar was nasty and added a 600-page sci-fi onto the list. This is Children of Time by Alexandra Tchaikovsky. But I don't know much about it other than I've heard it's really, really good from a lot of sci-fi people. The last remnants of the human race leave a dying Earth, desperate to find a new home. Following their ancestors' star maps, they discover a great treasure of a past age, a world terraformed and prepared for human life. I'm going to guess things do not go as planned, and there are probably other things on this Earth, this planet, that do not want the humans there. But yeah, we'll see. That's going on to the stack that I do also have to finish if I want to win my game. It is all just in good fun though, because it's not really that serious, but like for me to challenge myself to win the game. I have 2 books though I do want to add on as extras. One that I will be listening to is Courting of Bristol Keats. This is as a book club pick for Maria from Books and Mo's book club. This is the first kind of Fable book club that I'm joining. I haven't even used Fable for this, so I've joined Fable and I thought I would give this a go. I can get the audiobook for this, which is why I'm just going to listen to it. So that will be easy because I'll just do it while I'm at work. I can listen to audiobooks while I'm at work, so easy. And I am trying to read more non-fiction. So my non-fiction for the month is going to be The Transgender Issue by Sean Fay. This is, I think, perfect for June because it is Pride Month. There is shit going on at the moment in the UK for trans people, which sucks. I am also a trans person, so it does affect me. And so I feel like this is an important book for me to read. I really want to become more aware and knowledgeable about situations, not just because they affect me, but because of how much they affect other people and how shit they are, but also because of what I, as a trans person in the UK, benefit from the history of the people that have made it how it is now. Not the bad things, but the good things. So yeah, I'm hoping that also is discussed in here. Yeah, I think it's an important one for me to read as a person, but I think also as for other people to read. And I've heard good things about it. So yeah, I hopefully potentially will get to some other Pride books in June, but this is one that I do want to prioritize. But yeah, it didn't fit to any of my prompts, so I couldn't sneak it in. But yeah, so that is 9 books, 5 volumes of manga. I should, in theory, be able to do that. I think I can get some audiobooks for these, which will help me read them. So yeah, that is it for the month of June. Please do let me know what you're reading, what you're looking forward to, if there's new releases coming out, if you've read any of the books that I've read, what you thought of them. I'd love to know. I'm still working on trying to get better at interacting in YouTube. May was a weird month. Whenever I end up doing basically overtime at work, I end up going like radio silence online in every aspect, not just in YouTube, and that happened a couple of times in May, so I apologize for that. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really do appreciate you. I hope you have a wonderful June, and I'll see you again hopefully soon. Bye.